So yes, hello and good evening, everyone. My name is sorry, screen. My name is Aadil Abbas. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a licensed financial advisor and co-owner of Own Financial Planning. Joining me today is my business partner and co-advisor Dane Pimble. Some housekeeping. We like to keep these workshops interactive, so please try and participate via chat or going off mute during the session when we stop for a conversation. We encourage you to turn on your cameras. This will make it a human experience for all of us. And we will have some time for some time for Q&A as well. Before we get started, I do have to say that please note any opinions or recommendation we discuss today would be general advice only. If you wish to act upon anything you hear about today, we strongly recommend seeking advice from qualified professionals before making a decision. And so now that I've made my legal and compliance team happy, we can actually get started. So starting with our mission. So at Own Financial Planning, we have one simple mission for how we help our clients. It's that life is more than money. And money is simply the tool that enables you to live your best life and leave a legacy. And in all of our advice, we aim to align our clients' money with decisions which make their life meaningful. So what are the factors which actually make life meaningful? And as you can see on this slide, which are the results of a global survey, money and I would say material well-being are important. But for most people, it's their family and kids, followed by their occupation. And as financial advisors, me and Dane see this every day. Most of the goals we hear about from our clients are linked to providing a good life for their families, providing a financial foundation for their kids, and pursuing meaningful careers. Our careers we hear from our clients provide us with not just a paycheck, but also provide a sense of purpose, achievement, and identity for most of our working lives. And your ability to earn an income, I'd say, is your biggest asset all through your life. However, if you're going to work when you're feeling stuck, or you find yourself in roles or organizations which are not aligned to your values, that is not a recipe for a meaningful life. And I can say this from my own experience as well, having been in a few roles and having had a few different careers. Now, most of our clients have certain career aspirations or dreams to do something different at some stage of their careers. And this can sometimes mean trying to get that next, I would say, promotion, starting their own business, or sometimes reinventing themselves to pursue a different career path. So hence, we are really excited today to have with us today leading executive coach and work culture optimization expert, Prina Shah. Prina has worked on both sides of HR. She's a generalist and specialist in workplace culture and behavior change. And she sees every day that work isn't working. She's on a mission to change the workplace. And living in Perth, she works with organizations globally to optimize their culture and the number one asset, their people. You can find her on LinkedIn, Instagram, and on her podcast, which is called Ways to Change the Workplace. So before any further ado, hi, Prina. Thrilled to really have you join us this evening. I'll let you take the virtual mic now and say hello to everyone.
Aadil, thank you for the beautiful welcome and the introduction. That's very kind of you. It's really good to be here today. And I help many a client to deal with the funk of work in all aspects. So whether it be individually, whether it be from a team perspective, or whether it be from an organizational culture perspective, that is me. So going on to the next slide, it has been Western Australia Day. We've had a public long weekend. And I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I meet you today, the Whadjuk people. I'm here all the way from Perth, and I understand we might have some people from Perth today as well, so lovely to have you here. I want to kick off with some introductions. I want to learn from you. So I want to know, why are you here and what do you hope to gain? As Aadil said, it's an interactive session, so you're welcome to take yourselves off mute, or please put yourself in the chat box and just let us know why you're here and what you hope to gain today. I'd love to know.
I'll jump in with one verbal comment. Going through most likely a potential acquisition. So that's bringing about options and making sure I'm in the right headspace to assess what options I'm looking at.
Samuel, oh, interesting. So does that mean that there might be interesting opportunities coming your way and therefore you need to market yourself in a different manner potentially?
A lot of ambiguity at the moment, so dealing with a lot of different options, and I guess trying to figure out what is the end goal and what is the end result, but not limiting myself to anything at the moment. So pretty vague answer, but unfortunately my circumstances are quite vague at the moment as well.
Oh gosh, so living under a cloud of uncertainty. That can be a tough one. Samuel, thank you so much. We've got some messages as well.
Yeah, I've
Let
got
me
a few coming in there, Prina. So Shah's said he wants to know how if he's not sort of underpaid, and also how to have a discussion about increasing salary. So I think the pay rise one, I put that in there myself, how to ask Aadil for a pay rise as well. So that's my number one too. And Nat's mentioned she's looking to get some tools and advice in how to progress her career. So Nat and Corey are clients of ours too, and they're young professionals looking to improve their career prospects.
Yeah, I got you. So talking back to Tushar, welcome. So we are going to cover how to know if I'm not underpaid. I've got some links for you to go and do some hunting as well. And how to have a discussion about your salary hike with managers or HR. I'm covering that also. Natalie, to gain tools and advice in ways to progress our careers. We are also covering that. So good. We're in the right place. We are in the right place. Aadil, thank you so much. Next slide, please.
Yep.
So, what to expect? We're going to start off with the macro, or the tactical, as Adil beautifully calls it. And we're going to talk about values-aligned careers, then career transition strategies, and then the magic question, how to get that promotion or pay rise. I've just seen also, Vicky, before we move on, I'm going to read what you've written just for my intel really as well. Vicky has said that I work in my own business with individual clients, but in the process of building a new business and working with both individuals and groups, and you're trying to figure out how to do this both financially and with appropriate mentoring. Vicky, you are in the right place. I am actually using a real life case study of Aadil today and myself. So we're going to be spilling the beans for especially you then. Okay, Aadil, thank you.
Shall we keep going ahead, Prina?
Over to Aadil.
Okay, so starting with values career alignment, we thought we would try and come up with a framework as to how can people start to think about having meaningful careers. So really, from our experience, step number one, and this is coming from my own personal experience, I'd encourage anyone looking to do a values career alignment to start by questioning, is your current role a mimetic choice? Now, mimetic desire is our tendency to inherit desires from other people, such as family, friend, or celebrities. Simply put, we want what other people want. Nearly everyone, and that is unconsciously, assumes that there is a straight line between them and the things they want. So, for example, I wake up one day and suddenly I decide that I want to run a marathon. Amazingly, all of my friends had the same realization when they were in their mid, I would say, 30s. Another example, I decided to get a dog during, let's say, COVID, because, well, I've been thinking about wanting a dog for a long time, and now seems like a good time as ever. Never mind the fact that I'm the only one amongst all my siblings who hasn't got one yet, and my siblings share pictures of their dogs on Instagram on a daily basis. So now in each of these cases, I've convinced myself, or we convince ourselves, that our desire is independent and autonomous. Whereas what is actually happening is that beneath your conscious awareness, you are being influenced by your environment. And very few people actually question why they want what they want at all. This assumption that my desires are all my own and the story that I tell myself is what the French social scientist René Girard called the perfect romantic lie. So step one, ask yourself, is your current role, is it a mimetic choice? So what can we do towards avoid falling into this trap moving forward? And I'll let Prina kind of walk us through step two of this.
Aadil, going back to step one, may I jump into what you
Yeah,
were
please.
saying? This is such a good point. So from a workplace perspective, especially with the executives that I support, you get to a certain stage in your career, or you're starting off in your career. And one big question that I ask my clients is, have you been dragged into your career or have you driven it? There's two differentiations there. Now, I'm Indian. I'll use myself as an example. So I have a lot of pressure. Prina, you have to be this growing up. You have to be that, right? That's all of the pressure. So for myself as well, I need to question myself. Have I actually chosen my career or have I been dragged into it? So there's two different aspects there. And I think this is a big, big life question to begin with. Have you been dragged into your career or have you driven it? So consider that first off, because number two, Aadil, do you want to talk to step up, the inversion principle? So we have to then therefore work backwards. So if you start where you began, starting your career, I guess ask yourself, what do you want or what did you want your career or life to look like then? And now looking at yourself now and projecting to the next 20 years, this is you now driving your career. How do you want it to look in the next 20 years? And this is a big, huge question to ask anybody of any age, you know? So the best thing to do is to reflect on what you value most. And Aadil shared some beautiful stats with us at the beginning, which were real good, thought-provoking stats. And then the next question is, what careers are going to enable that? And Aadil has kindly put a link here to a practical life exercise questionnaire that you can do. Aadil, did you want to say anything else to that?
Not really. I think the inversion principle, like, work towards the goal in mind. When we work with our clients, we always focus on helping clients achieve goals. So the first question we ask our clients, even when it comes to money, is what are your goals? We don't start with, tell us about your money, tell us about your goals. It seems like we apply the same principle in different aspects of our lives.
Applicable to our career. Boom. There we go. Over to you, Aadil, for the next slide.
Okay. Step number 3. So essentially, it's once you've got clarity of what you want in the future, have an open mind to how you get there. Long-term goals are great, but you also want to account for randomness, the spontaneous opportunities which life throws. Or as we say to our clients, life happens and life will continue to happen. So don't be really wedded to one path. Be really solid on your vision and flexible on details. And seems like this principle helped even Jeff Bezos to make Amazon what it is today. Prina, did you have anything to add on this as you work with your clients?
I really do. Oh my gosh. Now, sometimes we can get really hell-bent on this is where I'm going. This is my way. Now, let me add a little bit of poetry to your evenings. There's a beautiful poem by Rudyard Kipling called If. And there is one line which I hope positively slaps you. And that line is, if you have dreams, don't make them your master. So yes, absolutely have your dreams, have that vision, but don't make it your master because the surprising opportunities may arise. So Samuel, you said earlier you're working in a bit of an uncertain situation. You may well have your own goal, your own dream to get there. But the lesson with this especially is to be flexible on potential other opportunities that may come up, because sometimes it can be a bit too rigid when, we are very focused on the plan, the end plan. So that's a cautionary tale there. Be open to opportunities. Aadil, thank you.
Right. That's a great one. That's a great one, Prina, around the poetry. So I'm going to keep that in mind as well. Okay. Step number 4. Now, let's bring in some math and numbers here. I'm a financial planner after all. So the global and local maxima principle derives from a typical mathematical graph like you see in the slide, where the global and local maxima refer to the high values in the graph. Now, in the graph here, you can see a wavy curve with peaks and valleys. The highest peak in one section is a local maximum. the highest peak across the entire graph is called the global maximum. So what this principle is really teaching us is that sometimes you have to go down a hill through a local minimum, a valley of I would say despair maybe, to actually go to a higher peak. Uh, and that's what actually happens sometimes in our lives as well. That we perceive going down as a step going, as taking a step backwards. And it's a common problem in pursuing a career which is truly aligned to your values, is that we end up tying our self-worth to our paycheck or our title, and therefore reject any opportunities which don't improve upon this. However, I think from what my personal experience, Prina's experience as well, is that it's impossible to get to the next peak if you won't walk through the valley. So if you look at your career change through this lens of uh, global and local points, you will see that steps down can also be steps forward. Prina, your thoughts from the real world. This is a
It is beautiful. So
concept.
if you're working with a financial planner, they'll tell you your finances will go and eventually up, right? So that's the financial planning talk. They'll go up and down and up and down, and then eventually you'll get there. It's exactly the same for our careers. And that's why we said earlier on not to be so tight with that end goal that you have. You are reaching there, you are getting there. So when I work with people to support them in that long journey, we have to consider other things, sideways moves, potentially even dropping, your hierarchy within the workplace. So that there's other options and other avenues that you have to be open to. And obviously, if you are financially able to as well. And we'll get to that eventually. Yeah. Aadil, thank you.
And then the final step is, it's not really a step, but something which is said very often, but poorly explained in our opinion. Now, people often tell you you should find what you love to do because you'll be happiest that way. I think what they neglect to mention is that that's also how you can be most successful on a long-term basis financially and from a career perspective. And the reason is that when you love something, you're naturally motivated to do more of that particular thing. You're going to put in more hours than people you are up against, and you'll simply outperform them over a long period of time. So do what you love because not because it's just the right thing to do, but do what you love because you'll be more successful that way.
Now,
Now, your
can I
thoughts?
Can I bring in the workplace perspective? Some people's ears might be hurting by hearing this, right? So let's get realistic. Aadil and I are going to share our stories. We have had various jobs, all sorts of jobs. We've done the hard yards, and we continue to do different things. But in every single role that we've had that grand plan. So I've known Aadil for a while now. He's had this big plan to do exactly what he's doing right now, but it hasn't come overnight. He has found what he's loved throughout his career and jumped on that, and then eventually built his skills with the passion that he's had. And you'll really see that with his story soon. And therefore, that's got him to where he is right now. And the opposite. So I work with a lot of people or a lot of organizations who have disillusioned people. When you are disillusioned within your career, that psychological resentment is something else. You don't only have that within yourself, you can feel it at work. You bring it home. Your partners feel it, your families feel it, everybody feels it. So that's what we're trying to do in trying to eliminate that for yourselves. Thank you, Aadil.
Thank you, Prina. I think we can stop here for some questions on values and career alignment. We've kind of thrown a lot of principles up there for people. Do people want to kind of ask something to Prina around how to apply these principles, maybe? Or just share their own personal experience of any of these principles?
If no questions, we've got time for Q&As at the end as well.
I might throw one up to get the ball rolling. You talked about sort of finding your passion, and it can often be, as you mentioned, Aadil, very, very cliche. So what about people who are unsure what they truly love to do and how that can manifest in a career? What are some of the practical tips that you can apply to actually put that thinking to work?
Can I answer for Aadil?
Please, Prina. Yes.
I've just had a,
Please.
yeah. Try it. So I'll use myself. I went into HR and I thought, what the hell am I doing in HR as well, right? Honestly so. And I thought, no. I need to find what I love within this sphere of the HR world. So what I ended up doing is working in all of the different areas of HR to see what my thing really was. I eventually found my thing. So I know I'm very mindful that we've got people at an early career stage, at a later career stage as well. So if you've got any tips in relation to those that question that Dane asked, feel free to chip in. Otherwise, Aadil, do you have any thoughts?
Thanks, Prina.
Thanks, Prina. And I think, Dane, my point on that is similar to Prina. I think it's give it a go, because until you don't do a few different things, don't be afraid to fail as well sometimes, like go afraid to go backwards. So in my career, I have always consciously said, my principle has been, if I'm going to learn a new skill, and if that means I have to go backwards or downwards for some time, because that skill adds to my overall value set, I'm happy to do it. Even though I may not be the best at it, but at least I've given it a go and learned a new skill, which can round out my other skills.
Vicky, I can see you've got your hand up. You want to say something? Thanks,
Yeah.
Aadil.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Yep. My reflection on this is that quite a long time ago, probably 15 years ago, I was attracted to doing things that different things. So I was trained as a psychologist, and then I really wanted to do things that didn't seem to be immediately relevant to what I was doing. And I dabbled in them, but I stopped myself. I got disheartened, and people said to me, why are you going to do that? That's got nothing to do with psychology. It's not going to give you better income. Like, well, we'll just do what you're trained to do. Because I trained as a psychologist very early, and then I actually got interested in a lot of other things. But I stopped myself from pursuing that. Now, 15 years later, I now understand, and the world has changed. I can see that those things would have been perfect. So I think this question of, what you love, you can love something and you can be really thrown off. To me, what my experience tells me is that do what you love, but it may not be immediately obvious why you're doing it. And sometimes later you gather all these skills, and sometimes you think, I don't even know why I'm doing this. It doesn't become clearer until later.
Yeah, great
Vicky,
insight.
that is beautiful. I feel I'm in my mid-40s now. I feel finally those dots have joined. So I've done that trajectory, that chart that Aadil showed. I've been up, down, here, there, everywhere. But finally those dots have joined now. So it takes time. So we have to be patient, and we have to be kind to ourselves as well. Vicky, it's really interesting that you mentioned, those other voices that come out as well. Oh my gosh, we have such pressure. You're a trained psychologist. Why the hell do you want to do art or whatever else you wanted to do, Vicky? So we've got to be really strong within our own convictions as well for that end goal. Vicky, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
And sorry, I can't turn on my camera, but one of the things about, doing what you love, and you can discover it across the journey of a career, but then what if that might entail switching industries or getting into a new sector? How do you translate that for yourself, and then, and then I suppose sell yourself into that, to create an opportunity within a new industry or a company or a sector, etc. So how do you kind of parlay that interest and your, I suppose, transferable skills? How do you do that successfully?
What a question. I can't see who's asking that, but
So,
Gabrielle,
Gabrielle.
sorry, yeah.
Hey, Gabrielle.
Hi.
Aadil, I think you need to talk to this one. Good question.
Great question, actually, I would say, Gabriel. But in fact, Gabriel, if I can ask you to hold on to that question, because we'll talk about career transition just
Okay.
right after this. You've kind of just given us a great, I would say, segue into our next section. So why don't we jump straight into that then, Prina?
Boom. Let's do it. Gabrielle has not been paid. She didn't know what we were going to say. Aadil, I am happy for you to bring up all of the steps, please. Okay. First off, Gabrielle and everybody, we need to build a skills inventory. Samuel, I'm especially thinking of you right now because you need to sell the hell out of yourself in this new world, right? So build a skills inventory. What skills do you currently have? Where are you trying to get to? Ideally, you might have some idea. It might not be the end place, because remember, life might take you somewhere else. but we still need to have that end goal, right? So then with that end goal and your current skills inventory, what are the skills gaps that you have? Okay. And then to address those gaps, there's lots of stuff. We're going to talk about that coming up as well. The other thing you need to do, especially Gabrielle, if you want to go into a new industry, different kind of different state, anything, you know, networking is really important. And networking is usually a disgusting, horrible thing for most people. But the way that I promote networking is be interested in others. Don't be interesting. So don't have the focus on you, have the focus on others. So go out there to get to know people, not to get anything. Don't go out there. It's a reciprocal kind of relationship as well, but be interested, not interesting. So there's different things there, and it really helps shift your mindset there from a networking perspective. Step 4 is really huge. It's a small world where I live in Perth. Everybody knows everybody in the different industries that I've worked in and all sorts. So remember, please don't burn bridges. And I remember being told that when I first moved to Perth in my 20s, and that stays with me. Step 5, just do it. You've got it. You've got the goods. Don't hold back. Don't listen to the funky noises out there. Just do it. That's it. Aadil, I'm happy for the next slides.
Okay. Well, this is back to me then. Okay. So we thought we would I thought I would just share my personal experience of trying to find a value-based value. I found my values career alignment, the career transition strategies we talked about through the lens of my own career. So over the last 20 years, as you can see, I've had a varied career across a wide variety of roles, all of which I believe have led me and given me the confidence to finally find a values career alignment in my current role as a financial planner. So I trained as an accountant and then quickly found that I do not enjoy dealing with I would say, numbers just for the sake of, I would say, record keeping. Accountants look at the past, and I've always enjoyed looking forward. Which then led me to becoming an investment advisor in a global bank, which I enjoyed very much because it allowed me to use my numbers skill in a role to help clients invest for the future. And that was my first taste of financial planning very early on in my career. Now, the next decision to pursue my MBA was decision driven by several factors, one of which was being to broaden my skill set and my decision to relocate to Australia. Post MBA, management consulting was the default popular option, and I specifically chose HR consulting because I wanted to build skills around the people side of the business. People are the greatest assets of any business, and at that time, my thinking from a skills perspective and building my skills was that being good with numbers plus being good with people strategies would make me highly employable and also be my unique value proposition to employers. So then, having built those skills, I then looked for a variety of roles across different functions to apply my numbers and my people skills. So roles in such as sales, business development, strategy, sales operations in various businesses across public and private sectors to round out my experience. Many a times I did walk through the valley of, I would say, despair to broaden my skill set. For example, going from being a market director to being a business development role. That was quite hard. I was in a senior role. I had to take a step back because I wanted to give my hand at sales and business development. Also, the other key thing for me was all my roles came through networking, because it was hard for a recruiter to fit me into one particular role. My managers and leaders I worked with understood my skills, and they essentially looked at me when they knew they needed someone for cross-functional, cross-business initiatives, given my broad experience. So I kind of became like the jack of all and a master of none. But that really worked for me because I tend to get bored quite easily once I've learned something, which is perfect for my role right now as a financial planner, because we deal with many aspects of our clients' personal and money life. We are like the GPs of the financial world. So that's my career in a nutshell in terms of career transition strategies, trying to find a values-based career. Prina, you may have questions for me. Anybody else has questions? I'm happy to answer questions of people are intrigued.
Let's grill Aadil. Gabrielle, does this help you? So you can see from real life, Aadil's own experience. We have an auditor and an accountant, going into leadership development and HR consulting, and then going into education, and then into business strategy and sales. It can be done. Gabrielle, did you have any specific questions or pointers that you wanted in relation to this, especially now that you've got the story?
No, I'm reflecting on all of this. It's very useful for what I'm thinking about these days. I can echo a little bit of what you said, Aadil, about being sort of a jack of all trades and a master of none, because I think I am one of those people who's put into places where stakeholder engagement and, working across different operational groups, is valued. But at the same time, then it becomes harder to express exactly the value proposition that I bring specifically. So
Absolutely,
those are the
Gabrielle.
things I'm trying to better articulate for myself. Yeah.
And
And
hence, I
Gabrielle,
think,
sorry, Aadil, go.
sorry,
We're
Prina, I'll just jump in there. I think what I found very particularly useful, Gabrielle, was I started to have to like kind of that skills inventory. That became a really big thing for me. I started
right.
really writing down my skills inventory because I was the only person then who knew how to market myself. I had to really rely on my own ability to tell my story at an elevator pitch and at a detailed level to different stakeholders and show them the transferable skills for different roles.
Thank you.
Aadil read my mind there. I was going to talk about those skills inventory, list that Aadil had. He's completely hit it. He thought, yeah, I know numbers. I need to get to know people. And it may look weird on a CV, but then if you can articulate it well enough, Gabrielle, I think the story that you tell is going to be really important because you're the only one or you're the best person that can market yourself in relation to that. So first off, that skills inventory is essential to do. And it's just a basic one that you do on yourself, on looking at what skills you have right now, what the gaps are for your future, and then you drive your career in that respect. See, Aadil has not been dragged through his career whatsoever. He's made active decisions here for all of these roles. So that's what we were talking to earlier as well. Okay. Aadil, I'm happy to move on.
So let's keep moving. Okay, Prina.
Now, I'm happy for you to share all of the points because this is my story. Okay, so I sought Aadil's help. So I was in human resources and I jumped around all different aspects of HR. I knew I wanted to be my own boss from an early age. So I learned the system then to be a consultant. But before I even made that jump, long before I made that jump, I had a conversation with Aadil. He rightly said to me, assess your financial situation and create a budget. Now, I said, yeah. So it's me and my partner, dual income, no kids, we're good. So all of that kind of stuff. Aadil said, Prina, just stop here a bit. You're also supporting your mum who's in the UK. Let's consider that. So from a life perspective, it's really important to assess your financial situation in terms of not only your immediate, but the obligations that you have and the expectations that are on you from a financial perspective. That could be family, it could be debts, it could be anything, right? So look at yourself from that holistic perspective is what Aadil really helped me to do. The other thing I worked on really hard was to save that emergency fund. And I saved 6 months of salary before I even quit, the corporate world and became my own boss. So I know here some people are changing careers or changing their business as well. So it's always good to have that buffer bucket before you make that jump. So it's a huge aspect for you to consider. And, it's hard work, but it is so worth it for yourself because you're backing yourself now. If you have debt, reduce debt and manage your existing financial obligations. The other thing I really did also was to explore alternative income streams during my transition period. And this is a little seed that Aadil sowed in my head years ago. So what I decided to do was while I was working in HR, I had that grand plan to leave. I asked if I could work part-time in HR and I was, legit with all of my organizations. And I essentially side hustled. So I slowly started my business as a coach, as a consultant, as a facilitator. I slowly built it up. And then when I had enough clientele, I made that leap. So it takes time. I will be honest, looking back at it and as we were preparing for this, I side hustled for around 7 years. That suited me because I had to build my brand. I had to build my reputation. It's a competitive world out here as well. So there's a lot to consider. So have that grand plan and make your little steps to adjust to get you where you need to. So I can't thank Aadil enough for that support. Yeah.
Thank you, Prina. And this is exactly, Prina, what you've said is how we assist clients who have significant career transition plans. But I think when people know their maximum, they want to get to, the valley of sort of despair from a financial perspective just becomes easier to walk through. You know why you're doing what you're doing with your money, because now you have a purpose attached to it to make your life more meaningful, to try and make your careers more meaningful. So all the financial decisions then seem a bit more sense. They seem more aligned to your true values as well.
Beautifully said. Absolutely. Yeah. I also had to work, and the next slide, Aadil, I'm happy to move on. I also needed to earn more money. So
Yep.
I wanted promotion, and I know people here are looking for promotion as well. So point number one, Aadil, thank you. So take on, these are real practical steps. So take on, whatever stage you are in your career, take on high profile projects and deliver exceptional results to demonstrate your capability in whatever area that you're building. Aadil, next point, please. The other thing I highly recommend you do is find out who's who in the zoo, so to speak. Who are the influential people? Who has the clout? Who has more say? Who has more, eyes on them as well? So actively seek out opportunities to collaborate or to work on projects with those people within the workplace as well, because we can really learn a lot. And then that's not enough. You have to then promote yourself. So the big aspect in all of this, as you've seen from Aadil's career trajectory as well, we have to advertise ourselves. So share your achievements and your successes with your immediate manager, your team. Showcase your contributions. Now, there's a difference between being arrogant and being self-assured. Be self-assured. That's what I'm leaning towards. And then the next point, Aadil. And then we all have to learn, you're building these skills. And as Aadil said, there might be failure in the process as well. And that is completely okay. So please also always seek feedback and act on it as well. So you're always growing, you're always learning. So this is even before promotion. One thing I'm really finding within the workforce is the cost of living crisis is real. A lot of people are asking for promotion willy-nilly without doing the hard yards first. So consider what you need to do before you have that conversation. Aadil, thank you. So there we go. To become promotion ready, embrace your current role and do a good damn job at it. Be coachable, be open to feedback and learning and constantly evolving. Carry yourself as if you are in that next role. These are brilliant points. And when time comes, just do it again. Be confident. It's about being self-assured. And please lose that imposter syndrome. I hate the words imposter syndrome. I know we've got a psychologist in the room. I feel it's more of a crisis of confidence, and it's a temporary crisis of confidence. There's a psychologist called Adam Grant who says that people who have imposter syndrome are actually good because you want to get somewhere. That's why you're feeling a bit, unprepared or not just ready for it. So use that to fuel your fire. Thank you, Aadil.
Payrise, Prina. The fun bit. The fun bit.
The fun bit. The money talk. Please prepare in advance by researching industry standards and your pay scales and your own accomplishments as well. Remember, you're selling yourself here, not just I want money. Now, Shah, you asked a question about how do I get, how do I know if I'm being paid correctly as well? Aadil, the next point, please. So we've put in here, seek every year, they keep up to date, by the way, career salaries in your industry. So check out this link. There's also, I remember back in the day, Hayes Australia also do a salary comparison guide. So they seek, absolutely, they've got their eyes across all of the industries. But Hayes recruitment might do something also. Aadil, next point, please. Please, this goes, it's a given. Choose the right time and the place to have the conversation. And by that, I mean, check in on the person that you're having a conversation with. What is their diary like? Are they stressed? What kind of mood are they in terms of right timing as well. Is your manager more perky in the morning after they've been caffeinated? Who knows? So choose the right time in that respect, and the right place. So, you know, not in an open public space or in the staff hub, anything like that. Book a meeting room, make it professional. And then, as we've said throughout, clearly articulate your value and contributions to your workplace and beyond. And the next point. And this is really important. You might not get that pay rise, so be ready, okay? This is negotiation 101. So be open to alternative solutions. Have that ready in mind. So if a pay rise is not possible at the moment, what else can be done? Can I have a secondment? Can I work on X project? Can I be mentored by blah, blah? So have your plan B and your non-negotiables in mind as well. That's really important. Thank you, Aadil. I'm just seeing before. Oh yeah, Glassdoor. Yes, Glassdoor, brilliant. It's also interesting to read about what people say on Glassdoor about the employee reviews. Thank you, Dane. Beautiful. Now, I'm also mindful of the fact that, you know, have that conversation. We can easily say that for you, but that might be a skill that you need to develop. So I have listed a number of podcasts, especially for you. There's things such as making career changes, and we've got the wonderful Aadil on my podcast. Developing your consulting skills. So if that's a skill that you want to develop, I highly recommend everyone does, by the way. Check out Deb. Should I stay or should I go? Before you quit, listen to this. And then there's lots of other podcasts that I have as well, which I've curated especially for you in relation to this. One of the things that I'm really seeing is questions on how I can be more influential at work. So I've got a whole suite of episodes for you to develop those skills. So learn and do. Thank you, Aadil.
Prina, I think this kind of, do we want to stop for questions? Any questions at this stage? Before we hand over to Dane, I think Dane's probably going to just try and bring us home now. So yes.
No question, Adil, but thanks, Prina, for those tips. They really make sense.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Soft skills are hard skills, as I say. They're really hard skills to develop in the workplace, though, Shah.
Yeah.
Keep moving. All right. We'll still have the opportunity at the end. So shall I jump in, Aadil? Thank you. Thanks, Prina, and thanks, Aadil. So those of you that have been on some of the previous workshops might be familiar with some of this, and those of you who are obviously existing clients may be familiar with aspects as well. But to reiterate what Aadil mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, at Own Financial Planning, we've got one very simple mission, that's to help our clients live their best life. And yes, whilst we're financial planners, and we recognise that life is more than just money, that money being the tool that helps you live your best life and to leave a legacy. So in all of our advice, we aim to align your money decisions with your life intentions. And I guess careers, which is the topic for tonight, it's a very important part of living a fulfilled life. So you all got a lot out of the value from Prina, and this is an example of how we help surround our clients with the right professionals to help in all areas of your life. Next slide, please. And so the basis behind our advice approach is centered on Dr. Margaret Swarbrick's research on the 8 dimensions of well-being. And we believe that the overall well-being is a healthy approach to living. It could mean doing purposeful work, enjoying good relationships, eating well, having a work-life balance, and of course, financial freedom. And it's different for all of you, and that's important as part of preparing our advice for you, that we aim to find out what that specifically means for you and your families. So we start by understanding where you are in life today and what your priorities are. So the Your Life Survey is a questionnaire that we use to find out and measure what's important to you, and then to understand how you're currently tracking. And once we understand the areas of your life that need immediate support, we then start to dig a little deeper. And through that discovery process, it helps you and us to identify what's really important to you, and as an individual and as at a household level as well, through the values exercise. And our aim is to empower you and your family to live your best life by aligning your wealth with your values. So when we work with you, we work to set SMART goals, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with that term, but for those that aren't, it's essentially specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. So, for example, if one of your values is to, using the theme for tonight's discussion, to master new skills and knowledge, or pursue work with purpose, a SMART goal could be to invest some time into education or upskilling, or perhaps some professional coaching to help map out your desired career journey, detailing when you need to achieve these goals by, how much money is going to be required to cover the costs, and is it even possible when mapped against all the other things that you would like to achieve in life. So there's some goal priority elements to that, and we work through that when we work with you on creating your spending plan. And we know if it was that easy, everyone would live their best life. And we recognize that life's unpredictable. So we work with you to adapt your plan along the way to ensure that you continue to live well. And our best life modeling tool lets you know if you're going to be okay now and in retirement, or what needs most attention. We also help to keep you accountable, working in partnership with you to create your best life. So even better, you can log in and access that plan anywhere at any time. So you can keep track of your tasks and your goals, upload any necessary documents you need to share with us, and test out some scenarios that may impact that best life plan. Next slide, Aadil. So we don't just talk about it, we've adopted an integrated approach to help you live that best life by connecting you with relevant experts to improve your overall well-being. And so we partner with specialists in the traditional areas that all financial planners typically do, in legal, insurance, accounting, property, and lending. But importantly, we also partner with specialists like Prina in the non-financial field, so that help you in other areas of well-being, such as mental and physical health specialists, businesses, business coaches, career coaches such as Prina, who, and we thank you, we're very grateful for you to giving us your time tonight to present. And we also cater for other areas of lifestyle needs. And so when we're putting together that financial plan, we're providing for investing in your overall well-being, not purely just building wealth. And so that helps avoid the guilt of spending in the present whilst worrying about the future. So that's all we have for this evening, and hopefully you found this session informative. I'll shortly open it up again for questions. But just before we get to that, we're aiming to sort of have one of these workshops each month. So I wanted to let you know what we've got coming up in the next couple of months. So in July, we're going to have Michael Yeager from Generation Life discussing how utilising investment bond structures can be a really tax-effective way to help your kids get ahead financially. Then in August, we're going to have applied psychologist Bronwyn Penhaligon on discussing some practical tips for working with your mindset, in particular, improving your overall relationship with money. I think this is a really important area to get right. In September, we're going to have Dr. John Cummins of Executive Medicine on. He's going to be discussing the importance of investing in your physical health. If we don't have that, well, then everything that we're doing in the money side is going to be worthless. So jumping ahead now, if you would like to, and again, thank you, Prina, and if you would like to connect with Prina and access some of her free resources, on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see there's a QR code there. We'll be providing you the links as well in the notes following up this workshop. And that QR code is going to link you directly to Prina's page where you can access all of her free resources. And if you'd like to take the first step in unlocking how you're tracking against living your best life, then I encourage you also on the right-hand side of the screen, the QR code will link you to Own Financial Planning's life survey. So that survey is going to help you get to the heart of what it's all for you, and so you can have more meaningful conversations about life and money. It's a short survey. It takes 5 or 10 minutes to complete. You'll get the results instantly. Just make sure you hit save when done. And if you want to take the next step with that, by all means, you're welcome to book in a time for a complimentary debrief session of that survey. And yes, as I've mentioned on previous workshops, why is all of this free? What is the sell? Basically, we know that, and many of you are on here today are already clients, which we're very grateful for. But for those of you who aren't, a certain number of you after this session may want our help in implementing that best life plan. And if that's you, great, we'd love to work with you. If it's not, at the very least, you'll walk away with some clarity as to the next steps on where you're wanting to take your plan. So that completes the formal part of the workshop. Prina, thank you so much for your time and wisdom, and to all of you who gave up your free time to invest with us tonight. And we hope you got some practical tips you can take away and implement.